Hello. This is Kinsey Elizabeth with the Empowerment Studio. I run the Empowerment Photographer, which is a boudoir studio in Kansas City, Missouri, where we seek to empower and support our clients to see themselves in new, kind, and revolutionary ways. We are currently running a boudoir sale right now. It actually ends today, so if you happen to see this amazing interview, I can tell it's going to be great already. Right away, then you should scurry on over to empowermentphotographer.com/sale and snag a spot. But if you're seeing this later, come join us anyway. You can book a session at any time, and we would love to have you. And I am here today with my friend and former and future client, Rachael Cady. Rachael, I am so happy you're here with me. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. And I love the word scurry. You should all scurry over to do this thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, scurry on over. Like scurry on the internet, scurry on your phone, like call me. Rachael, would you like to introduce yourself? You can tell us your name, your pronouns if you'd like to share. And then, you can share what you do for capitalism, or you can share some other part of yourself. But I'd love to hear just a little taste of something special about you, Rachael.
Well, my name is Rachael Cady. My pronouns are she and her. I am a lighting and video designer for the entertainment industry, which means that I travel all over the world doing live entertainment events like theaters and concerts and cruise ships and occasionally big corporate meetings and that kind of thing. So I'm very busy, and it's never sort of boring. I'm also an adjunct professor at UMKC in Kansas City, where I live. I've been in Kansas City since 1994 when I moved there, and I currently live there with my partner Margaret and our 3 amazing dogs.
And you play a lot of pickleball.
I do, yes. When I'm not doing entertainment industry things and teaching and being a radio host at KKFI and all the things, you'll find me on a pickleball court. Undoubtedly. So,
and winning, you're awesome.
A lot of times, yeah. Well, not every time. I'm currently in training for the Amateur National Championship in Dallas, Texas, in November. So, myself and my ladies doubles partner qualified last December, and we are going to compete for an amateur title in November. So, yes, getting ready for that.
You are so dynamic, Rachael, and I've loved getting to know you over all of these years in the Empowerment Studio. It's been the coolest thing. And actually, speaking of which, right? Like I'm thinking back to this whole long, incredible time that we've known each other. I'm wondering if we can rewind a little bit and go back to right before you found the Empowerment Studio and then finding the Empowerment Studio, because you found us through a Selfie to Self-Love challenge, right?
Sort of.
Okay, tell the story. Let's hear it.
So I kind of found the Empowerment Studio by happenstance. I would say accident, but it wasn't an accident. It was sort of a preordained thing that had to happen in my life. But it was by happenstance. I was in a lesbian group on Facebook. Not a dating group, just a place for
KCL,
friends.
Right?
Yeah, exactly, KCL.
Love them.
And the owner of that group was doing this selfie challenge with you and mentioned that she actually took a selfie, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, you did? You took a selfie?" And for me, I'm a trans woman, and I had been out for probably less than a year or so at that point. And what I discovered about myself after coming out, it was that I started to really like what I was seeing in the mirror. And so selfies kind of became a part of my life. If you look at my social media feeds from back then, it's like selfie. It's like all of that. It's like, look at this outfit and look at these shoes and look at my hair. And so when I heard about this thing, I was like, wait, there's a group where there's a selfie challenge? Holy crap, I need to go there. And that's how I found the Empowerment Studio. So yeah, I signed up and got into the next selfie challenge, but at the time that was one of the mainstays of the group, is like folks would post selfies of them, selfies, and then you would encourage them to compliment. And that was kind of the beginning of it. It was just sort of happenstance. It just kind of happened to me.
That's amazing. And I remember in the first selfie challenge, I remember you entered into it like definitely somewhat of a connoisseur of selfie practice for yourself. But I also remember you coming in and being like, yeah, but I've also got some insecurities. I've got some stuff that is kind of hard for me to look at. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the cool things about specifically the selfie challenge. Is one of the challenges was take a picture highlighting one of these things that you're not necessarily comfortable with or don't like about yourself, and then
That you're
see what
learning to love
happens.
about yourself, right?
That's the
Yeah.
word. Yeah, that's the word. See, I always take it negatively. It's like, this thing I hate about myself, I want to take a picture of it. But no, learning to love about yourself is a much better way to frame it. Yeah, and as being trans and having gender dysphoria, it's hard sometimes because what I think I look like and what I see in the mirror sometimes are completely at odds with each other. And so doing that challenge, and took a picture, and it was specifically of like my shoulders, which were causing me distress at the time, and I got the most amazing compliments about my collarbones and the strength I was showing in these pictures. And it was incredible. And it literally did exactly what you said. It was a way to start to learn to love that part of myself and learn, to love me in general and how I look.
I remember you commenting during that selfie challenge, literally saying, wait, these can be good things about me? I
Exactly.
remember, because I remember you just being like, but I'm broad, I'm muscular, like I don't look like the svelte femme body that I picture, but could these things be things that are true and are part of me as a woman and could even maybe be beautiful about me as a woman?
Yeah, and even on some of the challenges where it's like, just do a thing where you look really cute, or can't remember the exact prompt, but something like that. People were picking out things about me that I never thought of. They like, God, I just, love your cheekbones, and I love the shape of your jaw, and I love the strength of your arms, and all of these things that were causing me like distress that I would see in the mirror. I'm like, oh God, just like, and things that are really hard to change. People were commenting, and it was sincere. It wasn't like it was unprompted, and from complete strangers, folks I didn't know, were seeing that in this picture. And that was so, it was earth shattering. It was like it was a huge shift in how I could start to see myself.
So I'm curious then how that journey continued on. You decided to book a boudoir session in the empowerment studio. So you were like, okay, and we just talked about this in our 4 steps to revolutionize your relationship with your body workshop. We talked about like there are lots of little steps that you can take every single day existing in selfies and complimenting people and exposing yourself to a wide range of body types and presentations and all of these different things. All these steps you can take to get yourself to where you are more ready to take a bigger leap forward. So, what was your brain like around the thought of taking a leap further forward with a boudoir session?
Well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, because one of the things that not only the selfie challenge, getting this sort of unsolicited feedback about parts of me that I wasn't expecting, but encourage, because you also encourage everyone. It's like, if you post a selfie, the price is you have to compliment at least 5 other people, and just do that. And what it does is it changes your brain in a way to see other people and to see people differently and see bodies differently. It's hard to explain, but it's a subtle shift in how you see other people. And that shift in me made me realize that, I think I want to do this boudoir session, because one of the things, again, being trans, is I always, I for years wanted to be a woman and wanted to be seen as a woman. And it's like, wow, if someone could take a picture of me where I look like the pretty woman in the picture, that would be incredible. And this seemed like the way to do that. So that's kind of where that was my goal. It's like I wanted to do literally I wanted to be the pretty girl in the picture. That was kind of my goal.
I remember calling your very first your mobile app from your session. I was like the girl in the picture because you
Exactly.
were there. There she was. Like there was our Rachel and this like visual proof that you could come back to see yourself in that way that you had been craving for your whole life.
Yeah, and because I was really unfamiliar with sort of traditional kind of lingerie and whatnot, because it was something that wasn't really available to me, or so I thought. I mean, lingerie is available to everybody, but it felt like it wasn't to me, and it felt like I had a body that wasn't really made for that kind of thing. My way in, our first mini session was around Halloween. It was close to this time, actually.
It
And
was.
I convinced you to allow me to pose in my Star Trek uniform, which was, the original series Star Trek uniform. Because as a kid growing up, I always wanted to be one of those girls on the bridge in the little short skirt and, the red uniform and the boots and all of that. And I remember it took a little bit of convincing. You're like, well, that's not really what we do here. We don't really do cosplay. And then I explained it to you. It's like, this is kind of like wish fulfillment sort of thing for me. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. It's fine.
Oh, like absolutely. Yes, we are doing that now. And actually, it's really funny that you say that because I think that was a big part of my own evolution of, realizing the expansiveness of boudoir. Because for me, boudoir had been, taking off clothes and lingerie and, like kind of sexy vibe or whatever,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh wait, it is so much more expansive than that. Really, to me, what boudoir is now is creating, it's intimate portraiture. So it's like this opportunity to feel seen and to feel really
Right.
connected. And what do you want to look like to bring that to life? That's what boudoir is to me. That can be as many
Yeah.
or as few clothing items as we want it to be. That can be with paint, or it can be with no makeup, or tons of cosplay is totally like within the realm of, I think, boudoir now. So I love
Yeah.
that. I mean, you have changed me just as much as I've held space for you to shift. So
Well, and one of my favorite photos from that was you post me. It was after, so I was out of my uniform, took it all off, and I was posed in this, kind of bra and panties and stuff with the leg pose up against the wall, which was amazing. But you used my uniform as props in the picture, so it was just like out of uniform, and so you could see in the corner my boots and my uniform was kind of draped over a chair. It was so perfect.
I love
Yeah.
that. I mean, for me, boudoir is a chance to play. I have described the studio that we do our sessions in as a playground so many times now, and it really feels like we deserve, grown-ups deserve a chance to play,
Yeah.
and we don't have very many opportunities for that. And I think that we need them so badly, that if I can create an opportunity for play to exist, for people to feel light and free. A recent client told me that during their session, it was the first time that they didn't feel stressed in like
Yeah.
months or maybe years. They're like, wow, I get to just be here and my phone is off and I'm just having a good time and I'm getting compliments and I feel like myself. And that's a pretty, that's a pretty cool thing. So
Yeah, that is a huge part of the experience, actually. And it's something you kind of set up as soon as you walk through the door. It's like, okay, it's you and me here. We just need to be present here. So just relax and everything's fine. You're safe. You're in this great, welcoming environment. And, if you just simply believe that and do it, it's incredible what happens. And that first little mini session allowed me to move forward with, the full session we did. And, by then it was like, yeah, I don't care. I was like, I was nude eventually, and I was in this amazing lingerie from your lingerie closet, and something I brought in. It was just so freeing, but it was this kind of great journey.
So that makes me think about, I'm sure there are some people listening or watching who are like, okay, yeah, cool, that's great for her. Like, I'm glad she's comfortable, but like, whoa, I don't know if I could do that. So, but I love the idea of a mini session, like actually collection free within our boudoir collections is, I call it a taste of boudoir. It's one
Yeah.
outfit. You still get the experience. You still get hair and makeup done. You still get to access the client lingerie closet. We have a celebration session for you to get to see your images for the first time. So you get all of these different components that I think are really integral to the Empowerment Studio experience. But it's one boudoir outfit, and it's a
Yeah.
lower investment compared to the full boudoir session experience. So if someone is like, oh, I can't do this whole big thing, and I don't know that I can invest, on in this big full session, what would you say to them, like as far as the concept of using a mini session as a, like the taste of boudoir as an entry point for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, it is an absolutely awesome way to sort of just kind of dip your toes into the water, because there's no pressure, there's no expectations either. That's the amazing thing. Is like, I was so nervous even the first time, because I'd never done this before, and I couldn't believe I was doing it actually. And it's like at some point, um, I was in lingerie, and you were taking my picture, and I was like, I can't believe this is me. This is really me. Oh my God. So yeah, the mini session is great because the investment is lower, and there's no expectations for it. It's just, you literally just have to exist in front of your camera, and you make it so easy to do that because you set it up. It's like, just listen to my voice, and I'm going to ask you to do some things, and you might think it's weird. Just go with it. I promise it's going to be okay. And you're always so conscious of how, your subject, your client is feeling. It's like you have this, I don't know, this innate instinct about, oh, maybe we should take a break. Come and shake it off and breathe a little bit, and yeah, do that. And
I do love a shake it off moment. I love
yeah,
a chance to just be like, oh, what if we take a deep breath right now? Like, what if we just soak in this moment, acknowledge what you're doing here? And I think that's something that is really important. Is it's great to like do things that expand you, things that are, stretching your comfort zone. But it's also so important to feel as safe as possible, and also to notice that they're happening, so that then
right.
you can come out of your session and go, oh yeah, I did that and I remember it. I
Yeah,
remember being there. And then you have the photos coming out of it where you're like, okay, this is, I even if it feels like it was a dream, I get to go back and say, okay, but no, there's proof. And
there's
I looked
proof.
as amazing as I thought I did. And I look beautiful while I'm having a good time and while I'm feeling like myself.
Yeah, and at no point do you ever say, "Okay, now look, give me a sexy look, or give me a sexy pose, or do this thing." It's never that. It's literally very simple, guided instructions. And so, if you're feeling nervous and apprehensive, and you're like, "Oh God, what's happening?" You just listen to your voice, and it's literally just turn your head this way and tip up, and do this, and before too long, you sort of forget that you're doing it, kind of, and you just kind of get in this almost a fugue state. It's kind of what happened to me. Is it was just like me and you and your voice, and the camera wasn't even there. It was just, okay, I'm just gonna roll with all this stuff. This is kind of fun, actually. It's kind of cool. So
I always
yeah.
say that you are the expert at you, but I'm the expert at boudoir. You don't have to know what you're doing. Would you like to hear, Rachel, a little story of why I never tell anyone to look sexy or to get into a sexy pose?
Absolutely.
Because once upon a time, I did a boudoir session where I hired someone to photograph me. And I will absolutely not be naming names here, but this was a
Sure.
long time ago. But this photographer just didn't talk very much and told me to get into a pose, or would now and would say like, okay, now give me a sexy look. And then I saw these photos later, Rachel. constipated in the one. I remember being like, oh, that's the one that she told me to look sexy. And I'm like, oh man, I hope that's not how I look when I'm actually feeling really sexy. But
Right.
I didn't feel sexy in those moments. Like
Right.
telling someone to look sexy, it's not like you can just like turn that on. That's an energy. That's a vibe. And so that's part of my expertise is taking you from where you are and helping you soften and relax and open and become more yourself. And in those moments, that is what I see as really beautiful or really sexy or really expansive present. So no,
Yeah.
I will never give that direction
No.
because it's not
And,
cute.
and yeah. And having never done this before, I didn't know what to expect. I was really concerned about that because I was like, I don't know how sexy is so elusive. And it's definitely not something mere mortals can just sort of turn on. I'm sure professional models and whatnot can probably do that through practice. But to be really sexy, you have to be comfortable. You have to be in a safe place and, in a headspace that allows you to just kind of be yourself. And everyone can be sexy and exude that. And your camera and your eye captures that in like no one I've ever seen. It was literally magic. I know you talk about it being magic. It was magic. We created
It's
something out of
magic.
nothing.
Well, not out of nothing though, because I always say I can't create what's not already there in front of me, right? Like that's
True.
the cool thing about photography is that it's not like I'm painting on a canvas and I can imagine and translate forward anything that comes to my mind. I am working with exactly who is in front of the camera with me and our exact energy combination in that space. And so that is my skill is working with exactly who's there and seeing them. I think I really
Yeah.
see people and then I have the skills to translate what I see and what the energy that I perceive that I love about people and to put that into a photo so that they can see it too.
Yeah. That is definitely it's kind of one of your best skills is seeing people. And in the photographs that you've taken of me, and there's been several now, and there's going to be more in the future, you see me and I see me in the picture, which is astonishing. So,
So I have a question for you. Being a trans woman, that's a pretty big vulnerability to come into a boudoir studio with a photographer who you hadn't met in person before, right? Like,
right.
what made you trust that I would take really good care of you? I mean, in general, as a human, obviously, like that's a high value of mine is to just take really good care of people, but specifically to honor your experience as a trans woman, to see you as who you are. And I don't know, just I feel like being a trans person in our society, there's like a pretty big vulnerability just going about life. So what made you feel really comfortable? Like what made you feel really comfortable to feel seen and held in my studio?
Yeah, I mean, it is true. Some days it feels like an act of defiance just to walk out the front door and interact with the public. So part of it was the group, the social media group, felt so loving and so honest. And I could tell just from your writing and your presence there that you were someone who could be trusted. And I was seeing all these pictures that you had taken of your clients too. And I was like, wow, these are really good. And they're unlike any other kind of boudoir photography I'd ever really seen. It was there was like the subtle difference of these pictures were taken for the person in the photograph as opposed to it's like I want to take sexy pictures for my boyfriend or my husband or whatever, and maybe that was something that they wanted to do and share, and that's awesome. But these pictures were really personal and you could just like see the energy of these people. And so when I saw that, I was like, I want that experience. And I don't know how I'm going to get it exactly. And I'm really scared about it, but I think I can trust her just because of the language you're using in the group and from the examples that I'd seen. And I was a wreck when I showed up at your studio that first time. I didn't know what to do. I was so scared, and you sensed that. And the first, I think we spent maybe 15 minutes or longer, just like chilling me out, and then talking about nothing about the session at all, and just it's like, look at this window, look at these pretty rainbows, look at these sheets. And it was so good. It was like, yeah. So I mean, honestly, it was a leap of faith. I was not convinced I was going to be okay, but I knew that I wanted that experience, and I knew I wanted to be one of those women in those pictures that you had taken. So that's what
And
did
you
it.
had enough trust in me just from our rapport leading up to your session that you're like, okay, this is a place where like I'm not going to get misgendered. I'm not going to
Right.
like, I am going to be held in my fullness of self
Yeah,
with
and
Kinsey.
you always meet with your clients before it ever happens, and we talk about the specifics of the session, and what packages you might want and outfits, and we talk about all of that stuff. And that also put me at ease, because it was like this from the beginning. It was just really easy to talk to you, and I could see that you understood how big this was for me, and what kind of a huge leap of faith it really was. And you understood that, and that made me feel comfortable as well.
Good. Oh, Rachel. I have loved every single time that we've gotten to do photo shoots together. I'm curious if you would paint us a very specific picture, like really take us there of some moment maybe during your full session, because you've been in front of my camera a lot of different times now. But is there some specific moment that you could kind of take us there that you'd like to share from your photo shoot?
um, Actually, the one that kind of impacted me the most was probably one of the most vulnerable ones, because a shower shoot with the neon lights, and it was just me with no clothes on and you in the shower. And uh, I was super nervous about it, and wasn't quite sure how to act and whatnot. And I got in there and I got in these lights, and you just it part of it was the lights. I'm, as a lighting designer, I kind of react to these kind of amazing jewel tone colors, and it kind of gives me energy, and it felt like I was just enveloped in good vibes and energy and love in a way. And there was something about that confined space too that sort of allowed me to kind of explore and just kind of, I don't know, kind of exist there more than, like, because there was no props. It was just me in this room. And
I
so
remember you started out wearing underwear, I think,
I did.
in the shower set. And this is something any client who decides to go totally nude, we always have either a backup plan or a place that we start that is not totally nude.
Yep.
Because we talk about it leading up to your session of what level of nudity you would like to explore. But ultimately, like, consent is completely, that is like one of our highest tenets in the empowerment
Of
studio,
course.
and consent is something that takes place in the moment. And so we check again right before you're about to do that look, like, what level are you comfortable with right now? Do you want to do this? And I remember you thinking, okay, I think I'm gonna wear underwear in the shower, like we'll still get really beautiful photos and I can be topless.
Yep.
But what was that part of that journey like for you?
After we shot a few pictures and it was feeling good, I was like, well, this is ridiculous. Why do I have underwear on? It's what it felt like. It's like, this needs to, I just want to exist here in this room and just be with my body and try to connect with my body, which, again, being trans, that journey of connecting with your body is like what transition for me is all about. You're trying to synchronize what's been in your head your whole life with your external body. And so, yeah, at some point I was like, this feels ridiculous. I need to like just do this. So yeah, it was that.
I
The other,
remember, go ahead.
oh, sorry. The other moment I remember is we had just done there was these beautiful rainbows coming through that window, and we had done this floor pose with the rainbows, and it was just gorgeous. And you had to do something. We were taking a little break, and I stood up and I saw myself in the mirror, and I was like, wow, you look really good. And so that was another kind of like huge watershed moment for me. It's like, wow, you actually look really good. There's this beauty about you, and there's this like softness and natural kind of look about you that I had never really seen before. And there it was, like, even without a camera. And it's funny because you caught me doing that. You came around the corner and was just kind of watching me. It's like, wow, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice because I think people sometimes have, and reasonably, but like a tough time seeing themselves in the mirror or, but then in the empowerment studio, so far into a boudoir session, you are so at ease and open and relaxed, and this really like radiant version of yourself, but it doesn't have to do just with the physicality, right? It's this like energy about you that then you can see yourself in the mirror and actually witness the fact that there's something shifting about yourself.
Yeah.
and
Shifting,
that you can
shifting is a great way to put it. Yes, it's definitely a move from there's a journey you take from when you walk through that door to when you walk out the door, and it is epic. It's huge.
Say more about that. You already described what it was like to arrive at the studio in the first place, and how nervous you were, and how we took time to settle in. But what did you feel like? What was your transformation in leaving?
Well, so the journey that happens was, yes, I was super nervous, and you did everything you could to kind of chill me out at the beginning. We did some breathing exercises. We did a little ceremony with a candle, which, feeds my witchy vibes like crazy. So I was like, okay, this is okay. But I still wasn't convinced that this was going to happen. And, but as we got into the session, and you just made me feel so at ease. And whenever I was feeling tense or unsure, I just kept falling back on exactly what you told me. Listen to my voice. Just listen to what I'm telling you. It's fine. You're safe. It's going to happen. And once I did that, then everything just kind of fell into place. I was like, oh, well, this is kind of easy. I can just kind of do this thing. And it's funny because during the session, I felt good, and I felt, sort of empowered, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. This is me in lingerie. Oh my God. I never really felt like sexy in the session itself. It was after when I saw the pictures. But then after the session, so we did, all these setups, and we got done, and I got dressed again, and we were talking, and I just had the biggest release. I started crying because it was such an emotional journey for me. It's like I realized that I'd finally done something that I'd always wanted to do. And the things that I was wearing and the fact you were taking pictures was okay. It's like, it's like I'd given myself permission to do this thing. So, yeah, and it was okay.
It was okay. It was even great, dare I say. Yeah.
It was great. And you were so open. It's like, here I'm crying. It's like, can I hug you? It's like, oh my God, please.
Yeah.
I want a hug right now.
But we always ask. We always ask. I'll give you a virtual hug, Rachel.
Oh, thank you. Back at you.
I am curious then about seeing those photos. You said you didn't feel sexy in those moments because you're in all of these weird poses, but I remember there are some sexy photos of you.
Yeah, there are. I mean, and I'm not feeling. It's not like I didn't enjoy the session. It's just, I never really felt, ooh, this is the one. It's like I feel really sexy here because frankly, some of these poses are challenging and they're awkward as anything. It's like, stick your butt out here and do your chins up and this way. And I'm like, okay, great.
That's part of translating the physical 3D into this 2D photo is posing you so that you look in 2D like how I see you in 3D.
Exactly. And that's where the whole thing about just listen to my voice I'm going to tell you some crazy things or bananas things that you're going to do. Tell me if it's uncomfortable. We'll do something else, but just trust the process. And um, so yeah, when I finally saw these pictures, some of them I almost didn't recognize myself in a good way, because I was like, because I couldn't believe that was me. It's like, wow, here's this beautiful woman, and she's standing there in this beautiful light. And yeah, it was getting all emotional right now, but it was, yeah, that's what it was. It was like I finally saw myself.
And you were so beautiful. You are so
Thanks.
beautiful, Rachel.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I'm so grateful that you have trusted me with such a vulnerable part of your journey. I've really been honored to be to be your buddy in this experience, along the way. It's been pretty neat.
Well, and it has helped me so much, because like you said, you can always, once you've done this thing, you always have these pictures to look back on. And you can see, in moments where I'm stressed and I'm not feeling it, and I can look back at these pictures, and it's like, wow, this is you. There's no trickery here. This is actually you. This is not an AI creation. This is not a filter. This is not, a heavily Photoshop version of me. It's really me in those pictures. And, you're the same person that you were back then. Actually, I've evolved since then, but
You have evolved
but
since then,
but I can look back on that and take solace in it, and realize that, I am this beautiful person, and I I am exactly, what I intended to be. I'm this woman who's just existing in the world, and that in itself is such a gift, to be able to actually see that and hold it in my hands and look at it. It's incredible, and it really is an investment in you. I don't regret for 1 second any of the sessions we've done. It's been one of the highlights of, the last 4 years for me. It really is, and I can't wait to get in front of your camera again.
So that's the next thing, and that's going to be our last question here. But I am so curious. There's people who are going to be watching this or listening to this who are going to. Did you see that rainbow that just came in over your head, Rachel?
It was like, yeah.
That was magical. I feel like always when I have like my most like queer clients, or my even just humans who, I mean, queerness to me is so much more than like gender or sexuality. That is to
Sure.
me like an embodiment of presence and taking up space and everything. But I just feel like the rainbows come and show up and party with us all the time. I love it.
It's true.
Okay, so we've got people who are going to be watching this or listening to this who are going to be thinking about if booking a boudoir session is right for them. Or perhaps there are some past clients who are tuning in who are thinking about if it's the right time for them to do another session, or if they even should. And I'm curious what you would say to someone who's thinking about it but isn't totally sure if they can do it, or if it's going to be right for them, or if it's worth the investment, if this is something that they should do. So what would you say to someone who's thinking about this?
Well, the short answer is, yeah, just do it already. Because if you're thinking about it, there's a part of your brain that really wants to do it, and there's barriers there. Clearly, there's a financial situation that could be a barrier, but you make that so easy because you've got payment plans that people can literally space it out over time, which is awesome. And there's like this fear of doing it, especially if you've never done it before. It's like, oh, I want to do it, but I need to lose like 10 more pounds first, or I need to get my hair done, or I need to blah, blah, blah. It's like, these sessions are literally a window into your life as you exist right now. And how you exist right now is beautiful. And you find the beauty in every single client that you see. I mean, all the pictures I've seen that you've taken are incredible. And the range of bodies and, and genders and all of that is astonishing. It is a rainbow. It's this huge spectrum. And so I would say, it's like, if you're thinking about it, clearly you want to do it. And so I would just take that leap. That's what I did. That was, the first session. It's like, it was a leap for me. It's like, I know I want this. I want to be that girl in the picture. I'm just going to do it. And that's what I did.
It's really, I actually just saw Libby posted some Insta stories today in which she was like, I just want to make sure that people know that like the people in these photos all look amazing and are taking up space and are so like present, but like you don't have to feel like you're that already to be able to book a session, because doing the session is what helps bring that out of you and nurture that in you.
Yes.
So don't wait until you feel like you are that already. This is what can help bring you there.
Yeah. The barrier to entry shouldn't be that, oh, I don't feel sexy. I don't feel empowered. I'm not ready for this because, I'm uncomfortable or whatever, because it literally, I mean, it sounds a little cliche, but it literally is transformative. It is a journey. When we walk through that door to when you walk out, you are a different person. And I never thought getting my picture taken would do that to me, but it's so much more than that. It is communing with you. It is what you bring out of people. It's like you find that piece of them that brought them to you in the first place, and you bring it out, and then you capture it on your camera, which is astonishing. So yeah, don't let that be a barrier at all, because literally this is a journey, and it is an experience, and it's way more than just posing. It is that, but it's way more than that.
It's a whole experience.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's not just a photo shoot. It's a whole experience.
Yeah, so. It doesn't even, I've done like photo shoots before. It doesn't feel like a photo shoot at all. It's like, yeah, we spend all this time getting my picture taken, but it doesn't feel like a photo shoot. It doesn't, it's not like the movies. It's not like any photo shoot you've sort of seen depicted in media. It's not that at all.
I feel like those sound awkward to me.
Right.
Like it sounds like, what do I do with my hands, or where do I look, or like what kind of a face do I make? But this is just like, let's tap into you and let's put that into photos so that you have those as well.
Yeah, and like you said, you're never going to be asked to make a face or to do, something with your hands unless you're guided to do so. So yeah, I
guide you the whole way. I always say I'm bossy. You just have to do what I say.
Yeah, and
just follow my direction.
That simple instruction, if you can just buy into that and roll with it, it makes all the difference in the world. And that is the doorway that leads you to this transformative experience.
Oh, Rachael, thank you so much for talking with me. I cannot wait for your second full boudoir session in the Empowerment Studio. Rachael snagged one of these sales spots, and it makes me like extra thrilled. We've got some incredible repeat clients coming in through this sale, and that makes me really, really happy. So, well, Rachael, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today. It was such a joy to relive and revisit all these special photo shoot moments, and I just can't wait to keep making magic with you.
Yeah, same. I can't wait to see what we come up with, honestly, because I don't know, but what I do know is it's going to be amazing, and another window into who I am now and who I am then when we do it. So I can't wait.
Thank you, Rachael.